Hi, welcome to the lecture series on Class 12 History of India. I'm Hosana Riamai, the administrator of New Life Higher Secondary School. It is very unfortunate that the regular classes is unable to continue at this point of time, but it doesn't mean that we should stop ourselves from learning. So we and our team from New Life Higher Secondary School are providing a platform for all the students who are staying at home due to the COVID-19 lockdown. Stay at home, watch the videos, do the assignment, and let's continue to learn. Now, let us get into the brief introduction of the history of India. I'm going to give you the introductions of history through a timeline. So the history of India is broadly categorized into three periods. The first one is the ancient period. The medieval period. And the modern period. So this is the broad categorization of history of India: ancient, medieval, and modern. Let us see what is the ancient period. The ancient period is the first period in India where the Indians itself rule over India. And it starts with the Indus Valley civilization. Or also known as the Harappan civilization. The existence of this Indus Valley civilization or the Harappan civilization is in and around 2600 to 1900 BCE. This is before Christ era. So this 2600 to 1900 BCE is the mature phase of this Harappan civilization. Now this civilization existed for the first time in India, and it decayed away. And afterwards, we have the Vedic period. Or also the period of the Aryans. After the Indus Valley civilization, the Aryans came to India and they stay over India, and that particular period is known as the Vedic period. Then we are going to study some of the important dynasties which existed in the ancient period, like the Nandas, the first dynasties, the Mauryas, the Guptas, so on and so forth. Now, these are some of the important dynasties which we should keep in mind and which existed during the ancient period. And so many dynasties rule over India, and we have the medieval period. The period where the Muslim rule over India is known as the medieval period, and it starts from 8th century to 16th century. Now, the medieval period starts with the invasion of Muhammad of Ghori Muhammad of Ghazni in India. And he invaded India 17 times, the history says 17 times, but he did not stay in India. So he laid the foundation for the Muslim rule in India. Whereas the Muslim rule in India was founded by Muhammad of Ghazni, by Muhammad of Ghori. He invaded India after Ghazni, and he defeated the Indian rulers, Prithvi Raj Chauhan of Rajputs. He defeated the Indian ruler, Prithvi Raj Chauhan of Rajputs, in the Battle of Tehran in 1192. In the second Battle of Tehran in 1192, and he is regarded as the founder of Muslim rule in India. Now, in this medieval period, we have studied who founded it, and some of the important dynasties which we are going to study during this period is that we have the Delhi Sultanate. We're going to study Delhi Sultanate, and after which we have a very important period, the Southern Kingdom, which is known as Vijayanagar Empire. Vijayanagar Empire in the south. This is a Southern Empire which existed during this particular period. Then lastly, we are going to study the Mughal period, Mughal dynasties. Now, during the reign of the Mughal, it was during the reign of the Mughal that the British came to India and the modern period started. It is a period where the Britishers rule over India. Now, the first thing that we need to know how the modern period is, a person by the name Vasco da Gama he arrived in India in 1498 in Calicut. And he opened the sea route to India. After which, the East India Company was formed. Under Queen Elizabeth in 1600. And this East India Company, they made a journey to trade with India. They reached in India, and this is how the modern period started in India, and slowly and gradually how the British rule over India. This is a brief introduction of history of India, and if you have this knowledge and the period which takes place in the ancient period, in the medieval, and in the modern, then it will be much more easier for the students to learn history. Before I conclude my video, I would like to give you a tips and a tricks on how to study history. Now, what actually is history? It is the study, in short, it is the study of past events. It is the study of generally, we know that history is the study of past events. Now, what is past events? The events that takes place, the activities that has taken place in the past. Now, if we are able to categorize those events, then it will be much more easier for the students to understand history. So, when we say past events, I'm going to categorize past events into social, economical, and political activities. If we categorize past events into three: social, political, social, economical, and political activities, then it will be easier for us. So, what is social activities? What are the social activities that we need to keep in mind when we study history? When we say social, it talks about society, people, society and the people. We also talk about social class, the class system that existed during that particular period of time, the education system. We also study the culture, religion, and language. So these are some of the points which covers under social activities. The religion of the Indus Valley Civilization, say, or the language of the Indus Valley Civilization, if we are able to particularize all these activities, then we will have a broad knowledge of what social activities is. And moving on to the economical. When we say economic, we talk about money, trade, tax, revenue, or the economic system. Like agriculture, etc. So if we are talking about how trade relationship is during the Indus Valley Civilization, or how tax are imposed, we are talking about the economic activities. It's economic activities. Then, moving on to the political side, if we talk about the government, the court, laws, war and military conquests, then we are talking about the political activities that is going on during that particular period. So, this is all in this video, and we will be coming up with, on the next class, we will start with the first chapter of history. Do join us, subscribe to our channel, and thank you.